Hi, it's Belinda back again to share another flip through of a December Daily album. This is my 2017 album. It's definitely the fattest of the three albums that I've put together. It's got the most bits and pieces stuck into it. It's probably also the most creative of my albums. I just found that as I've gone along and gotten more into the project, I've become more playful and a little bit more creative with what I do for each of my pages. So again, it's another Ali Edwards album for 2017, and once again for the book plate I took a number stamp and just did some gold embossing with the year on that little piece of paper in there. Okay, so let's have a flip through. Again, embossing the inside cover with those gold stars using a template and a big letter R for our initials. It does look a little bit cleaner this year than it had in 2016, and that's just because I'd learned a bit more of a lesson about cleaning off in between the stars before I did the embossing. So a little introduction page here. I took inspiration from some pages that I'd seen in the product play class in 2017. I used my silhouette to cut out some hearts from, I think it was just a gold glitter paper, and then I adhered them back to back onto a star transparency. And while I was sitting down in front of the TV one night, just went and did some hand stitching around the edge. Again, really love the way that this looks. Just a nice way to start the album. So in 2017, instead of talking about intentions, I wrote down some December wishes. I'll probably do something similar again for my 2018 album, talking about wishes rather than intentions. It just speaks to me a little bit more at the moment. Day one, we headed off on a family road trip. Nice full page photo here. Yeah, that's probably all there is to say about that one. Day two, using up some old numbers from I think the 2015 kit. I really wish I could get some more of those because they have definitely run out now, and I loved the size and I loved being able to do all kinds of different embossing on top of them. But that's okay, I'm sure I can make do with what I've got. Again, getting a little bit creative, so most of this was done digitally, but I did use my silhouette to cut out this Saturday word here, and then just some little tiny letter stickers. Day three, lots of gold stars. I'm pretty sure I went a little bit gold crazy for my 2017 album, and I am totally okay with that. Nice little see-through pocket there. Day four, on this side here, just talking about the things that I'm things that I was doing to get myself prepped and ready for Christmas. These little alphabet stamps I think came from Kelly Stamps, and between my 2015, 2016 and 2017 album I used them so much that they have pretty much lost all of their stickiness, so I'm going to have to go and clean them all before I use them again this year. These big tags came, I think, as an add-on. Perhaps they were a free gift for 2015. Whatever the case, I really, really loved adding them into my album. And it was just such a cool way to add something different. This one, I just backed a photo of my daughter onto it and just a really simple bit of journaling. I think 2017 was also the first year that I'd had my typewriter, so most of my journaling for 2017 was done using my typewriter. Day six, just a simple story about what was happening around our house. And a not so simple story, so there is a lot of words written down there. To be honest, I don't even know what they say anymore, but it was clearly something that I needed to get down. Again, I think this was inspired by some images that I've seen of a product that came from a previous December daily kit with some wonky circles, and I really liked the way that it looked, but of course it wasn't available anymore. So I used my Silhouette to cut out some circles from this paper and just filled in all the spaces with lots of little bits and pieces. This is a really good example of how I was starting to get more playful and more creative with what I was putting into my album. Day 7, I went back in time a little bit to tell a story from my Christmas as a child, and had to dig through to find an old photo of me at Christmas time. This is a full page photo of the Santa sack that I had as a kid. I laid it out on the ground, got over the top of it and took a photo, and then just used that for the whole page. It looked a little bit too plain, so I added some stitching here with my sewing machine, and then put some little sequins in and fused the top of it just to make it a little bit more dynamic. Day 8, I'm pretty sure this self-care card was a download that was available on Ali Edwards' blog. My giant sausage toes, because at this point I was just shy of 9 months pregnant. Day 9, this was a story that I don't think I wanted to be super visible, which is why I tucked it into the little paper bag here. And I finally managed to use one of the 2x2 page protectors for stories, and this was just taking some photos of stuff that was going on around the house on that day, cutting them down and then just putting them into some of the pockets, and with the remaining pockets just filling them in with some little bits and pieces that I had lying around and some nice sequins. And backed it up with some, where the photos were, just used some pattern paper just so that the back looked nice and finished. Day 10, nothing really stand out there. This circle was left over from cutting out the circles for this page, so I'm pretty sure that I went back and used all of the circles that I had cut out here. Day 11, just talking a little bit about gratitude. Here's again where I've used some of the circles that I've cut out, and these big numbers, which I think came from Heidi Swap, I'm not too sure. This 'Tis the Season, Photos of December Life and Stories to Remember were actually on a different journal card, but I didn't like the colour of the journal card, so I cut the words out and backed them with a little bit of washi tape and just stuck them onto a different journal card so that I didn't let them go to waste. Day 12, this little cut file was going crazy on social media in 2017. I was really not sure whether or not I wanted to use it because I knew that everybody else was using it, but in the end I decided that I didn't care, and I really loved the way that it looked and I wanted to include it in my album. So I managed to get hold of it, talking about 8 of my favourite Christmas movies, and downloaded them all, backed them inside the little viewfinder, and then on the back I just finished it off by cutting out some circles of tissue paper and layering those up. And the photo of our tree, I don't think it had lights on it at that point, so our Christmas tree has been evolving over the last few years. 2015 was actually the first year that I had a Christmas tree in my house, and since then I've been slowly adding ornaments and lights and little bits and pieces to it every year. So this year I'm hoping it's going to look really nice. Some more stories from that day. Don't think I numbered that day. 13th. So that was day 13, carrying over there. Day 14, another year, another visit to Santa, and this was a winning shot for me. I know that there are lots of people who would say that this is really cruel, but I honestly think that the photos crying with Santa are such a rite of passage for kids. And you can rest assured that I didn't leave her there for long. It was only long enough to fire off a couple of shots, and then I went and promptly rescued her. So we'll see what happens this year when we go to visit Santa, whether or not she's going to be as happy as she is right now, or whether we're going to have a repeat of this. Day 15, another story about my baking. So baking has featured in each of my albums, and I'm sure it's going to feature in 2018 as well, because it's such a big part of how I get ready for Christmas. This year I decided to include some of the recipes that I'd been using. The Christmas cake, so I just used some pattern paper that I had, and I think I used some of the tags that came in the kit as a template for cutting these out. So pattern paper on the back, printed recipes on the front with a little bit of washi tape and some embellishing there at the top. I think they're really awesome. I really like the way that they look, and I hope that in years to come my children will be able to look at these and use them for their own Christmas baking at the holidays. And again, I'm pretty sure I made this little pocket after seeing some similar stuff done on social media. So I used a stencil to paint this little holly onto a piece of vellum, then stitched around the vellum using my sewing machine just onto a piece of plain white cardstock just to make that insert card. And on the back I've stuck a little flyer from the Carols by Candlelight that we went to. It's just down the road from our house, so it was really awesome to be able to walk there. It's the first time that we've done something like this as a family. I also included the program using some little tab die cuts, which I stuck to either side of the program and then just punched a hole through. So I love that every year we're making new traditions, and I really love having these December daily albums to document those and just to see how they evolve over the years. Nice little family photo. This would turn out to be the last photo that we would take as a family of 3 before we became a family of 4. So this one was actually attached, just a little story there about going to the Carols by Candlelight. Day 17 was crazy weather where I live. I live in Western Australia, where December is traditionally very hot and very dry, and this year we had some really crazy storms come through on the 17th. So the picnic with friends that we were supposed to be going to was called off, and instead I stayed home and wrapped gifts and watched Christmas movies, of course. Loved this full page photo cut down of the wrapping paper. Definitely going to do something like this again this year. Day 18, 19 and 20 all went together in one hit, and that is because our son arrived very quickly, very abruptly, and about 10 days early on the 18th of December. So there really wasn't much happening in those first few days other than just welcoming him and adjusting to life as a family of 4. Of course, there were lots and lots of photos, and I would have loved to have included them all in the album. But what I did do was I just chose a couple of my favourite photos from those few days, printed them out into a little bit smaller than 6x8, then maybe 5x7, I'm not too. So on the back of this pocket page I just adhered a full page 6x8 print that came in one of the kits, a really nice little simple text-based Christmas tree print. Day 21, I used up this really gorgeous cork and gold glitter Merry word, which I received in the kit and loved, but really wasn't quite sure how or where I was going to use it. In the end, day 21, there wasn't much of a story to tell, so I told the story about my Christmassy coffee in the morning, and that seemed like as good a place as any to use it. Again, you'll see lots and lots of gold glitter coming through. Day 22, I think it's fair to say that the emotional roller coaster that hits after having a baby was definitely in full swing, and I was feeling very loved up and very emotional, and decided to write a letter to Santa just talking about all the wishes that I have for my 2 beautiful children. and used up some of the last of those tags that came in the 2015 kit there. I really loved these little red felt stitched wonky hearts that came in the 2017 kit. I'm going to try and recreate something similar with stars for 2018. I've bought a whole bunch of felt and I'm going to try cutting them out and doing some stitching around the edges myself just to see what I can come up with. Day 23. Again, that emotional roller coaster that comes from having a baby. It was a really tough day, and it was a really horrible story, hence the black and white. I used a screen print, I believe, or perhaps it was a stencil that I'd purchased as an add-on that year, just to create a little pocket with a white paper bag, and then I've just hidden my story, my journaling, inside that paper bag, and on the back is just a photo that, again, I didn't really want to be visible in my album, but I still wanted to include that story because it was part of what happened in the year. Day 24, lots of sparkle, lots of cheer. Our first Christmas as a complete family with baby Jack. Some photos of us opening up our gifts on Christmas Eve. This was a little tag that came off the pajamas that we'd purchased to go in our Christmas Eve, or I had purchased to go in our Christmas Eve box, and I really wanted to include it here, so I just stuck it into the album as it was. Photo of our tree with some presents underneath. These little stamps I think came from Kelly Stamps, and they were the perfect size to fit into these little metal rim tags. On the back, just stuck some photos together of what we were eating on Christmas Eve, and again this was a Kelly Stamps little stamp that I popped in here. Little family photo minus the baby. I cut this 24 with a circle cutter out of one of the other cards. The card just didn't really work for me, but of course I wanted to use up the number 24. And Christmas Day, started off the day with some croissants. It was the first year that Santa came to visit us. In the previous 2 years, Violet was a little bit too young for Santa, so this is the first year that he came to visit, and it was very exciting, although she was a little bit cautious that he may still be in there. Full page photo, and I had learned by this stage, unlike my 2015 album, to measure out the size of the page protector when I'm doing a full page photo, and just using some more of that red pom-pom trim on the edge there. Another full page photo of baby Jack looking cute on Christmas Day. We were at my cousin's house, so we got some awesome pool photos in this year. I didn't really like the way that this looked once it was finished. I feel like the numbers and the handwritten words just kind of blend into each other a little bit too much, but it's done, so I'm just leaving it as it is. And this year my album finished up on day 26, and the reason for that is that on the 26th of December we got together at my parents' house with my brothers and their kids, which was where we did our, I suppose, our family Christmas. I'm not sure how things are going to work for us moving forward because Christmas Day is seeming to get spread further and further apart, but we'll see. A little 3x8 pocket page. This is the journaling for the day. Lots of photos. There's never really much to say on these kind of days. The photos just tell the whole story. And again, finishing off with a family photo. Once again, I've created a little pocket here to tuck Christmas cards into. This year we got a Christmas card from our daughter, which was super cute. And that is it for 2017. So I hope you've enjoyed watching, and I will see you again soon.